Yesterday, after some opening remarks, I turned everything over to Julie, our executive director. But as you regulars are aware, she's not here today. Julie is recuperating, doing well, working from home today. She's been somewhat ill, so anyway, she'll be back hopefully next Thursday. Maybe she's completely worn out from these days. I don't know. But anyway, okay. Then we'll go around the room. Everybody has 30 seconds to give their elevator pitch for you new people. If you'll have a whole minute today. Okay. Who you are, what you're looking for, and all that kind of thing. Then there's two advantages to being a member of the chamber. One of those is a 10-minute spotlight. We had scheduled this morning to have Karen with garage door repair company as well. She sent me a text, she is sick. So I had to go to the planned meeting. We had Karen scheduled for today and Seth for next week, so we're doing a flip-flop. I've already talked to Seth. You will do our 10-minute spotlight today. Okay? After that, there'll be time for community announcements and thank yous. Do we have just one? What right? The second advantage to me, here goes another one. Second advantage to me, if you are a member and you have an opportunity for a door prize drawing, that we will have that at the very end. And usually we're out here between 10 to 9 and 9, and hope that will be the case today. We got a very good crowd today. It could maybe last a little bit longer. But I'm sure we'll still be out here before 9 o'clock as a general rule. Okay? Listen up. I'll try to pretend to be Julie this morning. As difficult as that may be, in any 30-day period of time, there are other opportunities to get visibility with your business and what's going on. Okay? On your table there in front of you, there should be a list of upcoming events and activities. And I see that in the month of October, we got 3 ribbon cutting ceremonies. Who can tell me what day October 10th is on?
Thursday.
Thursday? 3 consecutive Thursdays we've got ribbon cutting. On the 10th, the Ice Center of Murphy, which is like right next door, Ice Center of Murphy at 6 p.m., 213 North Murphy Road. They will have a ribbon cutting. A week later, on the 17th, Painting with a Twist. Open house, 5 to 7. 5:30. That will be a combination of Old Murphy and Wiley. Back there, actually located in Wiley, if you want to make note of this, 456 North Country Club Road, Suite 128. Once again, 456 North Country Club Road, 128. That's the 17th, so you'll probably hear about that again announced next week. Then a week later, on the 24th, the Full Spectrum. That's the new facility, just about 100 yards. 4:30 p.m. on the 24th, 141 North Murphy Road. So that's the 3 ribbon cuttings in the month of October. On October 15th is our monthly luncheon. 11:30 to 1, Murphy Road Baptist Church. That is maybe probably not even quite a mile from here on Murphy Road. 11:30 to 1. Our guest speaker will be Jason Chapman Insurance Associates, will talk about employee benefit strategies for small business. And the luncheon will be catered by Nikki's Italian Bistro. You can RSVP for that on the chamber website. As far as the luncheon goes, if you are a chamber member and RSVP by, I think, noon Friday, before that luncheon is only $15. Otherwise, it's $20. On October 24th, there will be an education seminar, 11:30 to 1. Once again, that's at Murphy Road Baptist Church in their cafe area. Sponsored by Ariel Point Senior Living. The speaker will be Jason Chapman once again. he'll expand on the same topic. Usually it's a lunch, the speakers are going to have maybe 25 minutes. Here he'll have everything 45 to an hour. Tips, tricks, and secrets of social media and generation. Social media can be a big business opportunity, I'll say. Anyway, that is what's going on for the next several weeks. There's always other opportunities beyond this meeting. We get visibility if we go our much looking for. Okay. Make sure your cell phone is on silent or vibrate if you would as we go around the room. Okay. Once again, you have 30 seconds. David, can you be our timekeeper, please? Sure. Okay. Ron, would you want to kick us off? Oh, sorry. Kick us off. Don.
Yeah.
Don Shepard. Don Shepard.
Mr.
Don,
Shaw,
would you want to kick us off this morning? Sure,
I'm glad I didn't take a bite of that. It was unexpected. It's good to be back after about 3 months. We have been so busy, they making me work, and that's not a good thing. So hopefully we're back into a trend here, slower time of the year. So Don Shepard, Shepard Pest Management, we're family owned and operated since 1980. Big thing that's going to start now is, if you notice, these mornings are a little cooler than they were yesterday. It's supposed to be in the 70s and high in the 70s next week. I don't believe it. But if that happens, the rats and the squirrels are going to be looking for a place to home up. And it's going to be your place. So if you think you've got a problem or you want us to come out and do an inspection, we do exclusion work once we get them out. Don Shepard, Shepard Pest Management.
Justin Vaughn, I work with Lewis Blockage and Financial. You know, a lot of people don't realize how much money they can save by just coming to us and seeing, you know, how we can restructure a loan for them on their home, or if they're going to buy, or if they're selling, how much more money we can get them in return, just for coming and talking to us for a little bit. So if you know anybody that is in the mood to save some money, send them our way.
Craig Blocks. Craig, I do wills, trust, probate, elder law, adult guardianships. I have over 30 years experience. I lecture nationally to other attorneys, and I've served on the State Bar Texas Grievance Committee for 10 years on and off. If you have a blended family and you want to make sure that the people that you want get what you believe they deserve when you pass away, come see me and I'll arrange an estate plan for you. Thank you.
I'm Jason Hall with Verizon Wireless. I just want to say thanks for this community involvement. We've seen a lot of support. This current month we're offering special promotions for our business customers that are looking to have internet on the go and $45 unlimited internet on the go. So if you're traveling, your business is mobile, and we offer an internet solution for those business customers that need to have that internet outside of their office. So come on guys and see us, Verizon Wireless.
Sitting here, I am Crystal LeBon. I work with Jason at the corporate store here in Review. I just want to say that I'm happy to be here, and if you guys have any wireless questions or if you haven't switched to Verizon yet, I'm here to do a quote with you guys or ask me any questions. Thank you so much.
David, why don't you go ahead and kick off there?
All right. Morning, David. I know it's secured by now. I help small businesses avoid data loss. If you've been watching the news at all, you've seen how many businesses are getting hacked and end up maybe with ransomware or losing their data to the internet. So you need to do a security audit at least yearly on your network to see who and what's on that network and make sure it's structured properly for today's use. Years ago, a flat network was a good thing, not so much anymore. You can't have security cameras, other things on the network without being separated. Dave Mandela is secured by them when they help you know who and what is on your network.
let it go. You don't need that stuff anymore. Let it go, let it go. 'Cause I'm the one you've been looking for. Here I'll stand just to help you and to hold your hand while you let it go, let it go, let it go. I'm Pam, all around girl. For those who don't know, what do? I do organizing, packing, moving. I help you downsize, help you get rid of that stuff. Help you get rid of that $200 storage unit that you're paying for right now and make more money and give everything you don't want to other people. All those that are homeless and a lot of other people that need stuff. When you're in a jam, who you call? Hey, yeah.
Chairman, go ahead.
I haven't seen y'all in a while, but I thought they might need help this morning and they would have without me, so appreciate that. I'm Carolyn Weeks with Farmers Insurance. We're right next door to Lowe's in the Country Burger Shopping Center. We can take care of all of your insurance needs, everything from home and auto to commercial. A good referral for me this week, which would be someone who is looking to look at their Medicare plans. Open enrollment starts in a couple of days, and we'd like to help those that would like to save a little money or maybe change their plan up a little bit. And Carolyn Weeks with Farmers Insurance. Thank you.
I'm Carl with Cactus Award, right away choir. I did not get recognized. You need to stand in front of the camera, show off your name there for royalty. We can do that for you. Or if you want to do somebody recognition, we can get it for you. We also do it for you. Cactus Awards.
Good morning, I'm Lily with marketing and I self-promotionalize. You can put a logo on from clothing to what you just clothing. For the past couple of times I've been here, I've been harping, yes, harping, on saying thank you to your clients for all their business this year. I had some sample cards. I sold some of these to some of the people in this room. Last year, they were really nice cards, sturdy. They come with a suggested verse, but they have other verses to choose, or you can write your own verse. And included in the cost is your return address on the envelope. Have questions, come and see me afterwards. We'll do like persona marketing. What's your persona? Thank you.
My name is Steve. I'm a guest of Lucas. My wife and I do credit card processing. We have since 1988, 30 years. We represent TSYS. TSYS is the largest credit card processing entity on earth very, very soon because we're partnering up with Global, which is the largest processor there is internationally. Nobody can beat our rates, period. Bottom of the cost.
Luke Trahan with Financial Advisor with Edward Jones. I really help people find out what's important to them. A lot of times when I sit down with clients, they don't really know what is important to them. They don't really know where to start thinking about, well, what does retirement actually look like? How do I actually want to live in retirement? What kind of lifestyle do I want to have? I help them get a vision. And then once we get a vision, then I can actually help them develop a plan. Luke Trahan, Financial Advisor with Edward Jones. If you know of anybody that has an old 401k at their old business, they left it, let them come to me, I can help them move it.
Good morning, everybody. Central Painted Body Wheel Decoration Repair Experts, family owned and operated, and we also do paintless dent repair, which is hair damage or anything, so dents. So if you know somebody, send them our way. And I also tell everybody, if you get into that place where you made a wrong turn or somebody else made a wrong turn onto you, come to us so we can evaluate first before you claim, so we might be able to save some money. So please send them our way. We give free estimates. Remember, Central Painted Body is the right place at the wrong turn.
I'm Tommy Welch with Save More Automotive. Most of you are familiar with Terry. I want to give you a little report on him. A lot of people do not know that he had stepped out of the water at the lake at his fishing tournament. He was wet, went down, snapped his leg. So he's recovering from a broken leg right now. He's looking forward to getting back in the shop. He's not the kind of person that likes to sit around. So with that said, keep Terry Granger in your prayers and Save More Automotive. And then if there's absolutely anything that we can do to help you, we're there for you. And all of you drive cars, so I'm sure you need something. Thank you.
Good morning, all. I'm Christy Dunham with the Dow Dennis Group, your local financial advisory firm. I'm so excited we got brochures, y'all. So the team added me, as y'all know, at the end of April, and I'm kind of a unique role, relationship manager. I'm also licensed. I have my Series 7 and 66. Been in the finance industry for about over 4 years now, but I always was administrative and relationship manager, scheduling, whole back office, all of that stuff, scheduling, helping run appointments. But I'd love for you to take a peek at our team here. This is us. I am working on being into an advisory role, but I just want to make sure y'all feel comfortable with us, know what our services are, and know anyone who we can assist and what to talk about. Thank you. So quick.
Hi, my name is Tiffany, and I am a very new member of the Chambers of Commerce and Novi. Interesting that today I have two agents with the same company. I'm a farmers insurance agent as well, and also thesis processing credit card company for the also the agents as well. So farmers do auto, home, life insurance, and commercial insurance, and then thesis also doing the processing credit card. Yes, we have a very special promotion. You know, anyone that we cannot beat the price, the company will pay back $1,000 for any type of business. So the agent will be in Wiley, and the agent's name is Ops Insurance Agency. It's HOPS. Thank you for your listening.
How's it going? I'm Steve with Papa Roofing and Construction. We are a storm restoration specialist. What we do is we handle your insurance claims doing hail damage. And since hail season is over, we're taking pretty busy with inspections and stuff like that. So if you guys know any rental owners, property owners, or just commercial deals or anything like that, we'll be happy to take care of it. So I'm Steve with Papa Roofing and Construction.
Good morning, everybody. I'm an audio specialist for the area. I'm your personal audio specialist. Oh, you don't know what audio is. You will learn a new term today. That's an audio stands for real estate home. Meaning, when the bank forecloses your home, they're going to turn around and sell it. So I am the guy that knows how to sell this home, or if you want to buy a home, which is foreclosed. Again, came to me because I know more about the audio, about foreclosing home than anybody else. George Miles, North Real Estate.
I lost Anyway, I'm Greg Scott with Great Scott Sites. I'm the website and social media guy. But today I want to speak to you as a Murphy Chamber ambassador. We're in the process of redoing the website, and we would love to hear your stories. If you're anything like me, I've had a lot of great success since joining the Murphy Chamber about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. I forget, you have to have doing. Anyways, the point is, if you have a great story like I've had, we would love to hear your review. You can leave a review on Facebook or on Google. And if you're lucky, you might make it to the website, so get in there quick. Anyways, I'm Greg Scott with Great Scott Sites.
Good morning. If you have wood fall off your house, if your bathroom get dusty looking, or you'd like to fix it up a little bit, you might want to give me a call. My name is Ed Williamson. I have a small remodel company. We can go search group, and we make it home very simple.
Like Don said, rumor has it that the students was the engineer. But with that being said, people on the fireplaces, they turn to your video. So just maybe if you haven't had your fireplace checked for a while, just go ahead and do that. It's out there, it's cleaner, it's okay for light fire.
new agent for Aflac, and Aflac's a little different than regular insurance. Aflac pays you. They sell anything from life insurance to hospitalization, short-term disability. So don't have an accident or don't get cancer before you see me. Again, Howard Schuer.
I have that card too. I think I lost it with me today. He got in trouble, so he's pouting in the car. That's my stuffed duck that I carry with me in case those of you who don't know. A little different perspective today. I was in a meeting on Monday morning, and I was introduced to a service that I think some people might be able to use if they cannot afford medical insurance. Medical insurance can be extremely high. It's going to be a few minutes or seconds. This is called Medicare. Medicare is a service that's partnered with Care Now. It costs $79 a month for one adult and as many kids as you have up to the age of 17. You have over 200 different conditions. And the thing I like about it is that you go in there, you pay zero. Everything is covered with that $79 a month. There's no contract. $30 for anyone over 18. So I want to let you know, if you know someone who cannot afford medical insurance, this will be something that they can look into. Medicare VIP. Thank you.
Bobby, you're up.
Couple more gentlemen here, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. Morning everyone, here in Mayfield in the city of Murphy, Community Development Center. Right here. I'm Raven Rothenberger, I'm a planner for the city of Murphy, local chair every day. Amen, I guess. So, have a good day.
Good morning, I'm Bob Tillman with Special Webs. We do website development, hosting management, all sorts of things, videos. You look at Geneva Financial, we did a video for them. It's one of the most popular ones we did. We flew a drone in out here at South Fork Ranch that replicated. If you ever watched the Dallas TV show, the helicopter flying in, we replicated that show. And Louis Bach was standing down at the front. He said, "You're sitting on a fortune," talking about home refinance, cash out, that sort of thing. So we do all sorts of things. We do videos. We filmed a program. It was on Monday night, Tuesday night, called Grief and Counseling. My wife wouldn't come. She said she could probably teach that course because she's lived with grief for 40 years. So. Bob Tillman, Special Webs.
She needs counseling, right?
We miss anybody. And I think that's everybody except what's true. Mark Williams, who enjoys helping people eliminate pet odor problems or just about any kind of odor known to mankind. Last week I announced the fact I got a call from a real estate agent and delivered my whole house unit air purifier to a home in Arlington, having a lot of difficulty trying to sell a home because of a smoke odor problem. She agreed to a 3-day lease agreement. Within 24 hours, they had multiple offers on the home and closed the deal to bear within 24 hours after I took the machine out of there. What's really unusual in that situation was I had to deal with a homeowner, even though a house in Arlington, homeowner was in the state of Oregon. So that worked out very well. Or if you just have a single room unit, this here can very well be ideal, very comfortable. And remember, yesterday I also delivered 14 gallons worth of alkaline water, ideal for keeping your body properly hydrated. Remember, it's your health that you take as well. Okay, let's move on to any other community announcements going on in the area.
I'm gonna pass this around to all the tables. I don't think everybody signed in, so would you please just sign in? Thank you.
Sure.
Actually, I have two announcements. One is going to have a craft show. We're having a craft show October 17th and 18th. There's 4 of us from the chamber that are going together and having this. If you want more information, please see me.
Seth is going to be one of the people there, and Carol Lee. And Carol Lee also wanted me to announce that our church is looking for vendors for a festival on November 2nd. The spots are only $25. So I also have that information. Thank you. So, as the chairman of the chamber this year, I was able to get us a benefactor to give us 50 gifts to help promote business in the fourth quarter. So anybody who would like to get a free gift and help promote their business in the fourth quarter, you can either see Ed or you can see me. Maybe a 10-minute conversation, we give you the gift and you go out and make a leave. So let us know if you'd like to participate. Thank you.
Okay, those of you that don't know, this is a community announcement because y'all are in the community, and I'm moving to Fredericksburg, Texas at the end of this month. So the 24th of this month will be my last day, but I'm still looking for business. If you have been waiting to get your garage together or to get your bathroom cleaned or to get whatever you need to have done, you need to give me a call. I'm taking appointments as soon as I can. And so the 24th will be my last day here. Going to take care of my aging parents, if anybody's wondering.
Just to know that Saxy is having its Fall Fest on October 26th. There are still some spots available if you would like to be have a booth there. You have to call a Saxy ticket. Thank you.
Okay, if there's any other announcements, without further ado, as I mentioned earlier, if you are a member, we have a chance for a 10-minute spotlight. Now, in that 10-minute spotlight, you could have a PowerPoint presentation, you can stand up and do a comedy show, or whatever you want to do. The time is yours, okay? Seth, you're on. Tell us more about you or your business, what you're looking for, whatever. How do you take it away for 10 minutes?
Good morning, America. All right, how y'all doing? Good. No, you can do better than that. How y'all doing? Good. All right. So I am Seth Thomas. I own Seth Thomas Artistic Enterprises. It's my baby. I had Seth Thomas Piano Studio is what I started out with, and then I kind of came up alongside my teaching business alongside of that with my baking business, and I thought, well, I really don't want to be doing two different sets of taxes and everything at all. It seemed like a lot of work, and I don't like a lot of extra work. So I thought, what can I do to put it all under one umbrella? And so Linda kind of actually helped me come up with Seth Thomas Enterprises, and I popped the artistic in there because who knows what my next venture will take me to. Today I kind of want to focus more on what my passion is. I do love the baking. It's kind of that creative release that everybody talks about, and you would think, well, wouldn't music be that? Well, no, not really, because it's what I do for work, and it's a wonderful thing. I love it, but it is also like any other job. It has its bad days as well. So I apologize. I'm winging it a little bit today because Karen was unable to make it, but I'm going to do my best. All right. So some thoughts that I've had as far as piano lessons are concerned. I've really had a shift probably over the past 5 years. This is my 13th year of teaching piano. I started when I was 16. I've really shifted in my philosophy towards less of a goal-based philosophy, so less of I expect a student to do this many festivals or this many competitions, and if they don't win a trophy, then they can get out of my studio. That's not the mentality that I espouse any longer. I am more what I would call a process-oriented teacher. That means that it's important to have a goal. It's very important to have goals. But it's far more important to me how you achieve those goals. So the process to getting to those goals. So some thoughts that I worked through, I've worked through them several times actually with this particular student. He claims he wants to be a doctor, and I say, hey, go for it, right? I will have absolutely no say in whether or not that actually happens, but he tells me he wants to be a doctor. I tell him, this is what you're gonna have to do to make that happen. So piano is not just about, or voice, it's not just about learning how to make good music. That's important, that's a fringe benefit, okay? If you are not in a good place physically, mentally, emotionally, then there's no way that you can perform music. There's no way that you can file someone's taxes. You can't do whatever it is that you're doing to the best of your ability if you aren't in a good place, okay? So some life skills that I have found from music. Music helps me develop self-discipline to set aside daily time to practice. So again, I'm thinking of a particular student who does not like to practice. A lot of them do not. But this one tells me they want to be a doctor. Do you like to set aside time daily to do your homework? Do you like to set aside time daily to study? If you want to be a doctor, you're going to have to do that. Starting at the age of 10, you may as well start setting aside daily time for doing something that you might not necessarily like, but that's going to help you achieve something later in life, something that you want later in life. Yes, setting and keeping goals for myself, saying I want to do this year, or I want to do this month, or even I want to do this today. My students learn to practice. I don't send them home and say, okay, you need to practice 45 minutes every day, or you need to practice an hour and 10 minutes every day. When I was all throughout my undergraduate and graduate career as a music student, I would hear of other piano majors spending 6 hours in a practice room, 8 hours in a practice room, practicing their own music. Now, when I was in grad school, I would spend up to 12 hours a day at the piano, but that was playing with other instruments, other vocalists. That was maybe an hour and a half to 2 of that was spent on practicing my repertoire, working on what I was doing so that I could graduate and get the 8 shot of Dodge, if you will. All right? School, don't love it. All right? So, but I do love education. The important thing for me was in that hour and a half to 2 hours that I had, because a lot of times that would come at 10, 11 o'clock at night. And at that time of night, I'm beat. I'm done. I've been at the piano for several hours. I don't feel like practicing. What can I do to say, okay, so I say, okay, I'm working in this Beethoven sonata. I'm going to get this section of it. I'm going to focus on just my notes and fingers, playing the correct notes with the correct fingers. I'm going to do that until I am comfortable with that. And that might be all I do with that today. And so as I kind of developed that method of practicing for myself, I got beyond that as well, beyond the notes and the fingers. But, building up these steps, adding stuff in, I started thinking, well, this is working pretty well for me. What if I translated that into my students? Well, a lot of teachers say, I hate it when students treat their lesson like it's a practice session. Well, I don't. Because these kids, God bless them, they are smart, but they need a lot of repetition. They need a lot of repetition to get stuff ingrained. We all do. We all have at some point. It's not just the kids, all right? We have a lot more ingraining in us than they do. All right? And so from week to week, a lot of teachers get frustrated and say, well, I just told you this last week. Well, I've told you this for 4 weeks in a row. What's the deal? And it can get hard. It can get hard to bite my tongue and not say that at times, because that's not in my nature to just accept that they didn't remember what I told them last week. But I have to. I have to say, okay, here's what you do. You start here, you go here, you go here. And so almost every lesson with most of my students, because most of my students are what I would call average students. In other words, they could not pursue a career in music. They will not pursue a career in music. Hopefully they do not want to, because it's not going to happen, okay? But they are building this life skill of process. I have a goal, here's what I need to do along the way to achieve it. The third thing that I've noticed music helps me with, and helps my students with, is holding myself to a high standard of consistently doing my work correctly. My students are always getting consistent correctness, consistent correctness, consistent correctness. Because how the brain works is that when you do an activity, you get a trace of myelin that goes along the brain. The more you do that activity in the same way, the more you will be able to do that activity in the same way. The more times you do that activity, but you vary it just a little bit, the less likely you are going to be to remember to do it in that exact same way each time you go to do it. Now that can be a good thing when it comes to other things. We've heard before about switching things up, switching up habits. Thank you. That's a good thing to do from time to time. But when you're trying to get a consistent product out there, you have to do your work consistently, correctly. And last but certainly not least, develop focus and concentration, both on the job that I am doing and what I need to do to make it happen. And that kind of goes hand in hand with setting goals, but that's focusing on those goals, not losing sight of that. And that is incredibly difficult, okay? It's incredibly difficult to get a lot of children to do that, you know? And again, it takes a lot of patience. And the biggest thing I want to encourage everybody, if any of this applies to you today, be patient with yourself, all right? Don't be frustrated because you messed up, because you failed. We're human, all right? That's another thing I'm constantly saying to my students. We are human. We're going to make mistakes because we aren't perfect. We are not looking for perfection. We're looking for consistent correctness. Consistent correctness. I can say consistent, you say correctness. Consistent correctness. You got it. All right. Does anyone have any questions?
Actually, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I don't have time to tell you a little bit about myself, but yes.
First, thank you very much for your very delicious homemade cupcakes.
Oh.
And secondly, where in your location and your phone number?
I will give you my card after the meeting. I teach in McKinney and I travel all around Collin County.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you have a class you teach at home?
At a church, but yes, a location, yes. And then I will travel to students' homes as well, depending on what they want. Yeah, so I'll give you my card after the meeting, absolutely.
Thank you.
If there's any more questions, feel free to seek Seth after the meeting. Thank you very, very much. If there's anybody else here, someone remind me here. Back to Seth for being flexible in switching, because like I said earlier, he was actually scheduled for next week, so we've done a flip-flop because of Karen that was sick today, and she will do it next week. For those of you who are members who have not had an opportunity for a 10-minute spotlight yet, feel free to see me or Sherry so that we can kind of work and get you scheduled. Okay? Thanks again to Seth for being our sponsor today as well, for the nice treat snack. That's very cool, very nice. I want to thank Sherry for kind of filling in Julie's absence, as you will. You get the coffee and helping organize up here in front. That's not my thing, okay? But we're a great partnership here. Okay, let's see, I think I got maybe one more thank you. On behalf of the city, I want to thank them for allowing us to have this spot here for free. And let me, if I may not put you on the spot too much, how successful was Maze Day? Any feedback on that?
I haven't heard the numbers yet, but it was pretty successful. At least the Renew entries, I think we just had one exhaustion event, so it was a nice event. Everything else so we haven't heard final numbers yet.
Seemed to go well. I mean, traffic seemed to be pretty good.
We're having a meeting today, but we did very well. With the sponsorships that we thank the people in the room who sponsored, and everybody who turned out to do our pumpkin jumping, we did 300 pumpkins. Wow. So it was a very big success. Thank you very much.
Very good, awesome. Any other thank yous? You've done business with, or one-on-ones, or? Yes.
I'd like to give a thank you to George, who was able to provide me with prepared markers, analysis. We also want to give a thank you to save more, helping out our general manager, Deontay, with his vehicles, Brother Chan, helping him, got his vehicle all working together, so we really appreciate it.
I want to thank Ed for doing some work for us down at the church. So thanks, Ed.
I want to thank Steve for being nice.
Right, it's a nice chamber you have here, very friendly, welcome.
Yeah, I want to thank George for leading the code out. I went to the secretary, and Don, thank you for thinking of us at the church. We're glad they all got over there. And also thank you for the other referrals. It's going very well. Very good.
Yeah, I'll thank Ed for his business.
Yes, sir.
Thank Bobby and Sherry for inviting me to have a blast.
Awesome. Very good. Glad you came. Hope you felt well. Okay, if nothing else, we had two, maybe we've had before. We got some door prizes. If your card is not in here, you do not have an opportunity to win. You got to be a member. You got to be a member. Like I said earlier, 2 benefits to being a member. One of those is a 10-minute spotlight. The other one is an opportunity to win something. Which one are you doing first? Alabama personal assistance. Where it is. Alabama personal assistance. That would work. Cindy. All right. And then compliments of Barbie Special Webs. Don Shepard. I'm a winner. And you have 4 back there? That's up back, Don.
Is it cash?
George, you're a winner. Gary, you're a winner. Carl.
All right.
One more. Luke. Very good. Nothing else, no other announcements. I'm sure there are, as you can see, one of the breakfast snacks left. Feel free to hang around, get to meet and greet each other a lot better. I don't think anybody's going to chase out here at 9 o'clock. If I counted correctly, there's 30 of us here today. That's definitely above average. Thank you all for coming out. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm just like to say something. Greg started out today, he was talking about being an ambassador and what a great success he's been in the chamber and how it's helping out. Thank you. And we can also, I think we can use some more ambassadors. So some of you members who've been around a while who might be interested in being an ambassador, you see Carolyn, or see me, or see, she's back. Julie was back. And we can point you in the right direction. And also, if you have friends or business associates, you can see what a success this chamber has. And I think everybody in this room who's a member of this chamber can tell you some success they've had from being here. This is a friendly, accepting chamber, more so than any other chamber in the area, and the least expensive to be a member of. So if you have friends or acquaintances that you think might benefit from being a chamber member or just attending this forum, please invite them and tell them what successes you've had here and how friendly this place is and accepting it. That's all I got to say. I've been off the soapbox.
Chair, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, for those who are not a chamber member, if you join the chamber before November 1st, you get in the directory, is that true? For next year, I think.
That is true.
Just a little left. I think so. Anyway, did we have somebody walk in trying to,
I did. I am so sorry. My name is K1. I'm a resident of Murphy for the past 12 years. I'm in the banking industry. I work for BB&T. I'm a commercial lender. And I said, where we go to Frisco Chamber, we go to Plano, I said, let me see what Murphy Chamber has, and I'm here. So
keep in mind we're 8 to 9, I'm not sure why you.
I didn't know. I thought it was, yeah. Come back.
Wow. You are dismissed and free to mingle.
Live and work in